Hi everyone, my name is Sumeira, and in this video I will talk about how to become an English teacher in Mexico and a little bit about my journey, how I did it, and just things that I wish I had done differently, so you don't repeat the same mistakes as I did. So let's start with if you should get a certificate or not. To be honest, it totally depends on the school that you're going to apply for a job for. Some schools, they will ask you to have a certificate, though I feel like they're not as strict as you would expect them to be. If you have an online certificate that is much cheaper than an in-class one, like a real life one where you actually practice like giving real life classes, some of them are just satisfied with an online certificate. Others, they don't expect you to have a certificate at all. Now, this is important though later on in the journey if you want to actually receive a visa to work in Mexico, which is why most people want to become an English teacher in Mexico. This is kind of important. I will go into the details later on in this video. But other than that, most schools, they don't really care like which certificate you exactly have. The job I have right now, they didn't even like care at all, although I do think it kind of helped with getting the job, but it was not like a defining factor for them. Now, do I advise you to get a certificate? I mean, I think it's sufficient if you just get an online certificate, because the real class ones, I mean, they will definitely prepare you. Like I did one that was like in real life, like in class, and it definitely helped me with learning a lot of things and preparing for the job itself. But it wasn't exactly necessary, and I don't think that 1 month of like practicing being a teacher was enough to like really prepare me for it anyways. And other than that, I felt like it was kind of, yeah, very much a money scam, because you have these certificate schools that basically promise you a job after you finish. I did one of those, and honestly, the jobs they got you because they had a contract with one school, so basically they got all of the students the same job offer, which wasn't really the best job offer, but that's what most people do, because this school actually would help you with the visa process. So this is like their perfect offer, even though the offer in reality kind of sucks. And other than that, they got us very few interviews, and in the end I finally found my job, one that actually paid sort of well, and was at a good school, and actually in the city that I had told them I want to work in. That I kind of found by myself, so I didn't really need that certificate and that whole scammy course, if I have to be honest. So be careful with that. You don't want to spend like 1,000 euros on some type of certificate that doesn't really value to so much anyways. So that would be like the first thing I would be careful for, because a lot of people will make you promises that are just not true in the end, and you don't really need it, especially if you are a native speaker, because I'm not a native speaker. That was also kind of like one of my worries. But if you're a native speaker, there's gonna be so many schools that would want to hire you, honestly. One thing though, because you are a foreigner, you don't have the Mexican residency, and obviously you do want to work for a school that does offer you that so you can stay for a longer time. This is more difficult than it would seem, because you would think that a lot of schools would want to help you with that, but honestly, there are not that many that are willing to do that. So here's where the struggle kind of comes in. Now, how I would look for a job if I were to do it again. I tried to send, like, I sent a bunch of emails to schools, whether I could apply for a job. Like the emails I sent, they didn't really amount to anything. No replies, no calls, not anything. So I don't know why, but sending emails to companies in Mexico doesn't really work for me. What did work a few times, the way I got an interview, is by just going through the school directly and telling them, okay, I'm looking for a job here, and usually they would help me to talk with someone like right away. So that's what one thing I would do. So just like look on Google Maps and go to those schools. Another thing you can do, I mean, what helped me eventually is just talking to a lot of people, and eventually one person that I knew had worked at a school and they recommended me a school. I just sent them a text message, and that's how I got my job. So Instead of waiting for some type of certificate company to get you a job, I would say just socialize a lot in your time while you're in Mexico. Socialize with people, any people, honestly, because even when I was just trying to make friends and I told them I'm looking for an English teaching job, that's how I also got contacts. So socializing will just help you the most. Your network will help you the most. Don't expect some type of company that's you have to pay thousands for to save your ass, because honestly, it didn't really work for me. If you aren't so set on necessarily having the visa and you don't mind like going in and out of Mexico once in a few times, maybe it would be easier to find a job, because there are many English teaching jobs that would love to hire a native, but you will just not be able to work legally. And it might be a little bit trickier, right? But you could do that. Once you eventually do get the visa process, if you do get a school that wants to help you with the visa process, one thing that's important is that your background kind of does match up. The school I'm working for right now, they told me that just once or twice a visa application was rejected because their background just didn't match up with the job. So in that case, it's very useful that you do have some type of certificate, a TEFL or whatever, or just like a language teaching background, maybe like your bachelor's diploma kind of matches up to that. Like that would definitely be helpful for the visa process. Other than that, you have to know that you have to leave Mexico and go to an embassy in another country, which can be any Latin American country or in your home country as well. So just so you know that. And after that, you will get basically a card, a residency card for that is valuable for a year. After that, you will have to renew it. So it's definitely helpful to work for a school that is willing to help you with that process, since you will need it for quite a while. Most schools, before they want to help you, they will ask you to work maybe like 6 months for them before they're willing to help you, which is of course like understandable, because it's quite a costly process and risky as well. So before they do that for you, they want to see that you actually show up, that you're like punctual, that kind of stuff. In my case, my school told me that I needed at least like 80 hours to be able to apply for it, which wasn't exactly what needed to happen, but they did told me that there was a process that basically once you do get the visa and you work for them, they have to transfer a certain amount of money to your bank account every month, and that migration checks that. So that's why they had the requirement of 80 hours a month, which also means that I couldn't work less for them after obtaining the visa. So those are just kind of things that you want to be aware of, that it is quite a difficult process. For me, it has been such a long road actually to get to have a job that actually offers me everything that I really needed. And it just has been a long process, to get this far, to actually be able to get the visa. So it might get tiring along the way, and I don't think, like, if you don't want to be an English teacher, and if you are not really like sure that you will want to live in Mexico for a long time, then I don't really recommend you do it, because honestly it's a headache if I'm being honest. So just be sure that you're really into like living in Mexico. If you just want to do this for a year, like I don't even think that it's worth it, honestly. Other things that you could do, which wouldn't help with the visa, but you could definitely work online as an English teacher as well, or any other language that you are capable of speaking fluently. This has helped me a lot with the process while I was waiting for a job, while I was looking for jobs, because online teaching, you can just start that like at any moment that you want. I started while I was still doing the course with Preply, italki, those kind of platforms. My recommendation would be, there's many different platforms. I'm personally not a huge fan of Preply because they take like 100% commission of your classes, of your trial classes, and then after that, it takes a long time before the commission gets to a point where it's like kind of like acceptable. So I don't love Preply. There's a lot of things wrong with it. I think italki is a better option. And my favorite platform is SuperProf, although I do think it takes longer to receive clients from there, or like students, sorry, because it's kind of costly to actually sign up for SuperProf. But the good thing is that you can just take them off the platform. Like that's not prohibited as in other platforms. So that's a nice thing. You can just charge them like your own rates, and you don't pay commission or anything like that. Another way to get students is through Facebook groups. You can just go to expat groups or like English teacher groups on Facebook and then post under there. And that's how I receive a lot of my students. And honestly, this online teaching, it will always pay better than the schools in Mexico do. Because what you should kind of expect to be paid is around, well, maybe like the least would be like 80 pesos an hour, maybe less at some schools, but this is like the worst offer that I've received. And then the highest would be around maybe like 150 pesos, which would be like, like $7 an hour, which is not that much, I would say, for such a profession. It was like in other countries, like for example in Europe, you would obviously be paid a lot more. So if you're from such a country like Europe, like you should expect your pay to be a lot less than in your home country. Even if you would teach like privately to your own students in Mexico, you cannot really charge that much for one-on-one classes. Like the most I've seen people who have 5 years of teaching experience, and they charge like around 200 pesos an hour, which is like $10. So even less than $10. That would be like 10 euros, sorry. So your pay will always be low if you're just based on Mexico. So that's just something that you have to think about. Of course, once you are working here in Mexico and you have your visa, since you could probably just work part-time for your school, most teaching jobs are part-time anyways, you could of course work in other areas as well, like anything that you are qualified for. Maybe you could get a job and make some extra money there. Well, that's everything that I have to say about being a teacher in Mexico. The experience for me has been amazing. Like I love it. Mexican students are very fun. Like honestly, I don't feel like I'm working most of the time. I'm just having a lot of fun. It's a great experience. I feel like I'm offering something valuable to the world and to people. So I would definitely recommend it, but only if you are like 100% behind your decision, because it will definitely not be a smooth ride to get where you want. But anyways, that's everything. If you have any further questions, if you would like me to help you in any way, like I would definitely love to help you. So don't be afraid to reach out, and I'll see you soon. Bye.